that the ship was alleged to be unsinkable. Her reply to that was, well, that is flying in the face of God.
So this is the ship they say is unsinkable?
It is unsinkable. God himself could not sink this ship.
The actual story of the Titanic, what happened in 1912, how the disaster came to be, just became endlessly fascinating to me. You couldn't have written it better. It's like a great novel. It's like a great novel that really happened.
It's 1912. The Titanic is the largest moving object ever built by man. This is her maiden voyage. The celebrated captain is planning to retire after completing the journey. Among the passengers are some of the wealthiest people in the world and some of the poorest. Hopeful immigrants in search of a new life. The ship steams across the North Atlantic at nearly top speed. An iceberg sits directly in her path. The collision mortally wounds the ship. There are only enough lifeboats for half the people on board. 1,500 souls are lost. The world is shocked. The confidence of an age is shattered.
To me, it was such a dynamic story, and, you know, I've always been interested in the ocean. So there was a certain transition point where I realized I was heading toward making a film on that subject.
The story of the Titanic is legendary. To tell the real story, Cameron knows he must separate fact from fiction. And for him, the only way to begin is to come face to face with the real Titanic. In 1995, he sets off to the North Atlantic to embark on a series of groundbreaking dives with the help of Dr. Anatoly Sagalevich and the Russian research vessel, the Keldysh.
The Keldysh is probably the most capable deep-sea research system in the world, and the fact that they have two submersibles makes this system really the finest interspace system around.
For close to a month, the vessel sits at the very spot where the Titanic went down, and becomes home to a unique group of scientists and filmmakers who battle the forces of nature as they dive to the ocean floor. It's a mission to shoot film in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. The Titanic lies 2.5 miles below the ocean's surface. At such a depth, the water exerts a pressure of 6,000 pounds per square inch, enough to squeeze an ordinary styrofoam cup into the size of a thimble.
People have shot the Titanic previously with IMAX, but the IMAX camera was inside the submersible looking out through the porthole, and I didn't want to be limited to that. I wanted to have my camera outside in the water to get the most vista.
But no camera system exists that can withstand the crushing weight of the ocean depths. So engineer Mike Cameron and Panavision combined forces to build their own. The specialized camera, however, can only hold about 12 minutes of film, and once a dive is underway, it cannot be reloaded. Not a single frame of film can be wasted, so the submersible team must rehearse before every dive.
We commissioned a model of the wreck that was put together to the best of everybody's knowledge of what the wreck looked like, and we would do dry test runs of the shot in smoke, heavy smoke, and I would get the Russian sub-pilots to move their little toy subs the way they were going to move their big subs. Because they knew how to drive subs, but they didn't understand the shots necessarily, what the shots consisted of. And you make sure that if you can see us, then the shot is good. If you can't see us, the shot's no good. Okay? Want to go dive? Yes. Okay.
To get all the shots they plan, Cameron's team must dive to the Titanic 12 times. Each round-trip dive takes at least 16 hours to complete. Just getting to the bottom involves a 2-hour free fall. Inside the submersibles, there's nothing to do but wait. The space is cramped. The temperature drops in the frigid waters. And the ultimate destination is pitch black. Only the lights of the submersibles can reveal the secrets that lie here.
Okay, slow down. The bow should be it should be dead ahead. Look at that, bingo. Check it out, there's Titanic.
Yes, there's Titanic.
So we're gonna go for a shot. Ready, and action.
Action. It was a pretty amazing experience. Just 10 feet away was the most famous shipwreck in the world.
We're going to work our way back to you and see if we can get into a position where we can photograph that action. We're going to give it one try.
Roger that. Like a couple of New York taxi cabs, we'd be talking back and forth, trying to carefully choreograph and to shoot specific master shots.
The first couple of dives were so intensely focused to get to the shots that we had designed and drawn. The first couple of dives I was getting garbage because I wasn't dealing with the ship on its own terms. I didn't go there and let the Titanic talk to me. And so it was at the end of the second dive. I was back on the support ship, and I was alone in my cabin, and I just started to cry. It just sort of hit me, the whole tragedy of what happened to Titanic. So on some of the later dives, I abandoned my plan because I sort of wasn't getting what I wanted anyway, and what I was getting was much more interesting. And we had this ROV that we had built, which was just supposed to be an on-camera prop. It was just supposed to be launched from the sub and just kind of tootle around, and then we'd haul it back in by its cable. But it had a camera on it, and it could go inside the ship, and nobody had ever done that.
On the last two dives, Cameron's team sends the ROV deeper into the ship than any remote vehicle has ever gone. It reveals a series of ghostly images. These views of the wreck have never before been seen.
The doors, these sort of swinging doors that have these ornate wrought iron screens in them, that stuff's still there. It's still preserved. There is still this elegance, the ghost of this elegance. There were these beautiful cut crystal chandeliers just hanging there in the midst of these stalactites formed by the rust formations, where you just thought you were in some sort of strange grotto someplace. Almost like it looked like a natural formation with a chandelier there. These rooms, they were called the Millionaire Suites. We went into the one that was reserved for J.P. Morgan. To be able to go into that room and see that marble fireplace still sitting there, and to be able to compare our video with a period photograph of the time and look at the veining in the marble and realize it's the same thing. It was like a fingerprint. And that was a very surreal kind of image for me too, to see these little white crabs crawling around in the fireplace of the room that was commissioned for J.P. Morgan.
Cameron's dives to the real Titanic ultimately provide the production with more than just footage for his movie.
We were bringing something back from the wreck that the world could share without touching it or disturbing it in any way. We were bringing back images. And certainly for me personally, but for us, the production collectively, that after that point, everything else had to live up to that level of authenticity.